Turn 96, checking in here with the tactical turn update. We've got a bit of a face-off here. I notice he's starting Ballista, which is a huge problem because he can just punch through here. So I want to punch through first. I have control of the sea, so I can move things along. Also a pikeman, which means I can eat his primarily horse army alive and keep building pikemen everywhere that I can. So we're going to do some of that, basically. Just advancing here, turn-wise. Pull pikemen forward, attack, use cataphract archers as route, and then just punch through here. We're going to use our boats to help kill that cataphract. We're going to basically kill a bunch of units here, and then attack as well in the north. We've got a lot of orders. So we can do that at Persia, kill these spears, and then just keep punching through here. We'll bring some units up, upgrade to pikes everywhere we can. We've got some money in the bank, out of training really. That's why we're rallying troops right now. And we don't quite have enough to finish that off. But we'll get rally troops next turn to upgrade that last one to pike, and then I think we've got pretty good pike production here. He does not appear to have swords, as far as I can tell, so that drops him down to weaker. So we definitely have his control of the sea, which helps quite a lot in allowing me to poke here. Obviously going to do some damage in the counterattack, but attacking on two fronts. I don't feel like I could have waited to let him get his roads down to come in with Ballistae. Ballistae will obviously do tons of damage here against these guys, so probably going to lose some units here, but we've got a lot more units left. It's part of the reason I'm going for Decree, and I think probably want to go another Decree, honestly, realistically. Just 9 units. I think, I'm not sure about the second Decree. I think we'll just keep going Decree there. But we definitely want this one for 9 next turn, and we'll keep pumping these Inquiry, get Martial Code, get our own cataphracts up, but pikemen really shut down cataphracts pretty well. So definitely want to attack before he gets Ballistae onto the field, especially since we have control of the sea, and importantly, we have a bunch of pikemen now. So 3 that we upgraded, 1 that is still moving north here. So yeah, with more pikemen on the way. So yeah, 1 from very far away there. But and again, this sea control here is really key for allowing me to attack and attack here and kill off a bunch of units that were vulnerable and attack on 2 fronts. We'll definitely take some damage back, but I think it's time to start trading. So we've got orders aplenty and too many units. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes.
Turn 96, and the fighting has officially started. So we are looking at 9 unit kills. But of those 9 units, there's 2 workers in here, and like one of our tribal mercenaries and 2 spearmen. So the 4 kills that really hurt is the cataphract and the 3 Kushites, which is not too bad. He moved in over the seas, killed a bunch of stuff in here. Those were the Kushites down here. I did have some units placed up here in front, basically as bait and to keep them in range in case I was trying to look for an opening with my cataphracts to push into these units, but I just couldn't get enough support troops in here to kill these. Basically, the cataphracts just not quite enough damage, and I don't want to waste another high strength attack on these, so I needed some low strength troops in range to support, but in the end they kind of served as their as bait for his troops to move in, which is fine. But we are very much order constrained, and from the looks of it he is as well, since he just only moved part of his army in. He's got pikemen from 2 turns ago, so last turn, and he upgraded the pikemen we can see here, which he moved in. He already upgraded next set of units, so I guess he had been building spearmen in the back and now moving them in to upgrade them. But he is kind of lacking in resources somewhere since he's not upgrading everything. I'm not sure what he's lacking, if he's lacking iron, wood, or the training. He is very much still ahead in science despite only reading as competent. But I've noticed he's been building quite a lot of tooltip, and now there is quite a lot of increase in his statesman seat as well. So he's been building increase in 3 cities, while I've been only building them in 2 cities. So yeah, he's very much ahead. He upgraded his fleet to Dromons and killed killed all of my ships. I think I managed to kill like 3 of his ships in return with my Kushites from land, but he still has very much quite a lot of ships remaining. He invested a lot in these ships, but despite that investment, our armies are about the same size from what I can see, our land armies. But I can just quite keep everything off the coast, so his ships can still harass my troops and support. And Dromons do still hurt, even without any upgrades for land combat. They still do quite a bit of damage, not against the Clerics and Kushites, but I have also other troops. But as he has upgraded his pikes, I started rushing out some ballistas, so I have some counter units against his infantry. I'm also working on windlass to get some crossbows. Crossbows will work fine against any of his melee infantry, not against his cataphract archers, but I have other units for that. He's also now finally gotten to horsemen, so I'm assuming he is going towards cataphracts finally. So he has Latin sail. I don't think he has he doesn't have these. He doesn't have the laws enacted for this. Then he has cohorts and infantry square. And I'm basically set myself 3 goals. One is chain drive, since windlass to get crossbowmen for against his melee infantry. Chain drive is also fairly good, at least while he doesn't have cataphracts, but I don't know if I can get to these before he can get to cataphracts. That's very unlikely. There's also vaulting. I didn't pick architecture the last time as the kind of best choice out of the options. Not sure what was on offer, but I very much would like the discontent boost. Also with the clerics, iconography is a very good law. The temples pay for the law and the monasteries give training, and in cleric cities that's +4, which then gets multiplied by the barracks and ranges, so that's a very good law if you're running clerics and have your religious buildings up, which I currently have. Cathedrals are also fine to build. Legitimacy is orders and opinion. So also fiscal policy, although I'm not sure, as we're now starting to reduce our unit count, this kind of loses importance. It's mainly for buying lots of orders for an alpha strike, similar to enacting elites. Just can get your war running and keep buying orders to move your troops, but I'm very far away from that. Speaking of family opinion, I do have a orator now, but he's fairly fresh. He barely managed to pick up 1 cognomen, but and we couldn't quite get our families to friendly everywhere. Luckily he didn't capture the city. That was very much in his range. That would have probably dropped us down into the negatives, and it would have been a big problem, but we're lucky he chose not to do this. Of course, it's a risk, also a risk dedicating orders to capturing a city when you could use them to killing troops instead. I barely managed to get the landowners to 200 by moving the furs over to them. I'm not sure how to get this family up. Already spending all my luxuries here. Could of course influence him, but we're still busy. He's influencing her from last turn, and we're also expecting to drop this down as we are getting some more discontent levels in our cities. He's already a governor, so we are getting the family opinion here. Kind of made a mistake of appointing the head of religion as chancellor, so he's busy doing family gifts when he could be running conversions or intercessions. But in the short run, there's not much I can do about this right now. There's a small chance of her becoming a diplomat. Then we can assign her governor next turn to get another 40. That would help. But diplomat is one of the favored archetypes. But it's of course the scholar is the primary archetype, while the other two are secondary. So yeah, maybe we luck out here. We're still lacking in resources. We've got a few mills online, but the big problem is kind of iron. These ballistas cost 100, cataphracts cost 100, so iron is kind of a big problem. I did have plans to set up a cluster of mines here, but that will not get anywhere while we are fighting, so I'm kind of stuck with what I have right now. Already done a few movements. I've set up the turn. I can choose my angle of attacks and winded it back to show you how the battle plays out from in my turn here. I've already had some pre-construction done. That's to have these ballistas move through here and along the coast down here. So pretty much let's show some stats first before we play out the turn. Here's the family opinion, not quite there. Military score, just a small drop as we're starting to engage. Resource prices, stone has pretty much plummeted. No one has chosen to build any more wonders or invest in any more wonders. My Circus Maximus is finishing up. Hopefully that gives us some extra legitimacy and points for our cognomens to push us upwards there. We've both been selling some stone and buying some iron. So he's also bought some iron to fuel his upgrades. I've been selling a bit of wood, but otherwise this has also gone up. Food prices has gone up again as we're building troops and specialists. So stone is stagnated, not investing in this. This is mostly the mills finishing up. I've invested in some more farms again to get food up. Food is now looking pretty good again, so I don't need any more food, I think. Also, as units starting to die, we are going to our maintenance or upkeep costs are going to drop as well. We did get some more orders from our orator, but our science of course dropped. No more scholar means our alcaras aren't producing as much anymore. It's a pretty big drop. this here's not much going on in terms of stats. Total population, sporting, bunch of specialists, mostly, of course, mostly officers, so poets and such. That's just the usual I had anyway over the last few reps. Of course, some rural specialists got added, the gardeners for the land consolidation luxuries, and some other fishers on some of the resources in our non-military cities. So laws, we did unlock philosophy or engineering, but there's no point in spending civics on these. They don't really do much currently. This is just draining resources unless we're building wonders. I don't think the bridges amount to much. Of course, if our sage, the head of the sages was a scholar, we could enact the law just for that, but that's not what we need right now. And philosophy, we don't have enlightenment, and our religion is way past 200 anyway, so we don't need the bonus on the religion. Yeah. These are the counts here. Probably a bit low on mines, especially since quite a few of those are special resource mines are producing iron. But right now, all orders need to go into fighting. Speaking of fighting, let's get the fighting started. So we're moving our ballistas in first. Those are pretty much force marches. I think this was the absolute maximum. We are playing with limited force march, so only 3 more moves through force marching. Those were the 2 ballistas from the back. Then moving this Kushite out of the way, finishing off the first pike. Moving our main route unit in. This is the horseband promoted with the hero. And starting our route chain through these cataphract archers. Using some spears since they still do decent damage against the cataphract archers. And getting some more units in here. And another cataphract in here to get some extra damage in. Building another road to move our ballista, another one of the ballistas in. Coming in here, here, and finishing off. And finally moving some final units in here. And we are already through our orders. So would have preferred to get some kills up in here as well. These swordsmen on the flat ground are prime targets for our cataphracts, but I can't let these pikemen go unchecked. Also, this is still close to his territory, so his cataphract archers will get since they are all hunter, they will get their sentinel bonus on here. So I'm choosing to fight on my terrain where I get my bonuses and he can't get quite his bonuses. Also, we are fairly protected up here. Since we have a garrison and stronghold here, I mean, he can of course easily kill the spearmen there with his swords. But these 2 cities are well protected since they both have moats, so he shouldn't be able to pierce through them to get these down with any of his units. Like some of these have besieger, but even though so, there's lots of hit points on these cities. You can of course kill some units in here, or choose to move over the seas in here again. We have to see what his next move is. I pretty much killed 6 units, I think, 3 pikes and 3 cataphract archers. That's okay. It's not great, but I've lost. Those were 6 good units. I lost 4 good units and 3 cannon fodder, but he also of course moved closer, so he will have an easier time choosing targets next turn, although like moving across here is also fairly close. It's like probably 2 moves to get onto the coast and then 1 move to reposition, so he can get in here fairly fast. So we'll have to see how the fighting plays out. I'm not sure if he was aware that I was rushing these ballistas out. Probably not. I don't think he has that many scouts around or agents around in these cities. So I hope I caught him off guard with these, so that he thought that his pikes would have a better time, or I would have a harder time killing off his pikes. But he of course still has another 3 pikes to move in, and those are very dangerous for all my cataphracts. I still have units coming out. I have another bunch of options in here, like finishing up the remaining orders and actions to fill my cities. Rushing out another ballista. There's another cataphract finishing up here. Because of the lack of resources, I'm choosing to build a Kushite here. I have the food and wood, but I'm lacking iron. Can of course sell some more resources, but I'm not sure that's the best course of action. Like this city wants to pour his training into a unit, and I want to rush these units out. I mean, I did rush one here, but this city can't quite rush yet. Hopefully next turn, if this city stays around and we're killing a few more units around here, we can use this city to rush units out. We do have horses, so we can rush either ballistas or cataphracts in here. Yeah. So I'm building a slinger. This is because the slinger only costs stone. This is in anticipation of our crossbows, but those will be probably, I guess, 4 turns away. Now finishing up our steel research. And 1 more inquiry here. I'm switching over to our orator and decrease here, but I want to finish this inquiry. Don't quite want to waste the resources invested in here. This should finish up next turn and then cancel out, since we no longer have a scholar in here. So we'll of course slow our science down even more, but I don't think we can afford, or we need these orders, at least while our armies is still big. Not sure, might just have to eat the loss of the inquiry and switch over to decrease right away. But I'm not sure if I'm not doing it, but I might need to, or I would need to. Not sure, but I'm choosing not to. Anyway, right now it looks like we are going to be fighting this out for a few turns until our armies shrink down. And then we'll have to see who has the better economy to keep the war effort rolling. He did have mills unlocked for a lot longer, but I don't know how well his economy is developed. It's been a while since I've revealed his territory, so I don't know how much he has built up his cities since then. So it will be interesting to compare the resource incomes after the game to look at how the economy looked at this point. I would have very much liked to invest a few more turns in resource production and other things, but obviously he chose to use his pikemen as a timing for attack. So hopefully our defensive bonus and our fortified cities here means I can hold him off. We'll have to see. in the end, I think it benefits me more to have the armies shrinking, although I'm not sure. I am finishing up the Circus Maximus, which would have meant I would have be getting lots of experience on all my cavalry units. On the other hand, he could get to jurisprudence and fiscal policy a lot faster than me, and if he would have banked a bunch of orders and resources for his Alpha Strike, things could have looked a lot more grim, I think. But it's always hard to say. Right now, we are fairly even balanced. At least in terms of kills. Like he had the Alpha Strike and I had at least a same strength counterattack. So, and in terms of unit counts, we are fairly similar, or at least from what I've counted the turn or two ago. So it's looking okay, not too dicey, but we'll have to see how things develop. Anyway, that's the combat turn 96, and we're probably going to see a few more reports as the battle unfolds in the next few turns. So see you then. Turn 97. It's been a while in real life since we last played turns in this game, but the battle is still raging. We can see that he's killed 8 units, of which 2 are tribal mercenaries and 1 is a spearman, so lost 5 of our good units. We finished the Circus Maximus and got our cognomen to level up, so which got us to level out or get all our families to friendly. So we're sitting at about plus 110 orders, pushed our remaining 2 families over into the 200s that were still a bit below last turn. Our orders have been skyrocketing since the Orator got on the throne. I've done the initial resolving of the events and such, and prepared our battle plan. He, after attacking into the south last turn, he's now moved into the north mainly, cleared up our blocking units here. I think this was the Cataphract, and the Kushite cavalry was mostly standing on top of the garrison and stronghold in the city. That's a lot of angry units that have swarmed in here, but they're also incredibly clustered. There's no pikemen in here. They're all here. They're not trying to block. But we have our road network up here, and our Cataphracts and Kushites are fast. But building some additional roads down here to help with our movement. Like he's blocking some of our coastal movement here, so we cannot just move along here. We can still do some movement through our sea tiles, but it's mainly the roads that we will be using. So remember, we have 8 losses, so now we're starting, I think, to clear up some of these pikemen, bring our ballistas in against the pikes. That's 2 good kills. Then we start up here. First 1 and 2 preliminary attacks to start setting up the rod chain, and then our main star is going to come in. Let me quickly switch to movement off. So this is our main star of the rod chain. It's Housebane, strike 1 promoted with a courage 5 hero, running 14.3 attack, which doesn't include the Horsebane promotion in this value. So here we're looking at a sum of 17.8 attack, and that's not including any attack bonus into flat and clear that we're getting on the tiles. Like this is flat and clear. These tiles are flat and clear. So we're now starting to rotate into here, grabbing Brave. I think was the promotion we grabbed. Besieger doesn't work on horses, and the Charisma does not do much for us. Getting some Kushites in here with Eagle Eye and Marksman from the hill, shooting 3 tiles, and then continuing in here. I thought I turned the animation on. Whatever. Let's just continue. In here, launching more Kushites and Califracts in. Going through up here. All his Hunter Cataphracts not being in national territory helps a lot. Killing the one swordsman between the commandos first, so they lose their commander bonus, and then routing through here. Just a few points, since this is flat and clear. Yes, we don't need much. Can even like undo that one attack. It's like all of that. Those 2 attacks. It's just doing 14 damage here. It's quite a lot. Moving through here, and I think at this point I am down most of my units. There's like 2 ballistas, but one of them is in the back and can't be used yet without force marching. There's a 1 Cataphract and 1 Kushite left, these 2 spearmen, and like a few other units that are standing around in the back. But I can't do much with this. Like, this is too far away to get up here to like start clearing up some of these. This there would be potentially a route chain here, but we can't really get enough units in to completely chain this through, and then we're standing out here in front while we have our fort and stronghold here. So I mean, yes, of course, coastal movement, so we can move in down here anyway, but I think our position is good, and I'd rather use the remaining orders to move some troops back to the front again, like this ballista, and do some other stuff. Get my leader to do something, start stealing tech. So I already resolved all of this. We moved the remaining Kushite up here onto the stronghold in a defensive position, added a general, tactician in case he tries to attack this with pikes, although he has enough targets up here for his pikes, so it's not like he's lacking of targets at this point. Move this 1 ballista into the city where it's safe. Move one of the spearmen down into the city to protect it and assign a zealot. Kinda still wondering why he didn't just grab the city. It's 3 attacks without a unit in there to get it, and it would have probably dropped my cognomen down, which would have messed up my family opinion and cut orders, which would make things much more difficult. But he chose not to, and I'm happy about it. So just move this up, doing the leader ending, and a bit of worker movement, some extra mines. Those are worth 10 because of the mill. We are still very much lacking iron. Cataphracts costing iron. We're also getting whittlers in 2 turns. There's a inquiry finishing up for 80, so this should push us for 2 turns. can upgrade these slingers that we're building to get some crossbowmen. Those can deal with any swordsmen and pikemen that are still left by that point. I mean, we do have 6 ballistas, which are also doing work. And that's about everything. We cleared off almost all of his cataphract archers. Like, he has 3 left that I can see. There's a few mercenaries, these 2 swordsmen, some pikes, but overall he's looking very much weaker with his army. He's still listed as similar, but that comparison also includes the Dromons, which are strength 10 units. So there's not much targets for these. You can attack these ballistas for like 3 attacks he can muster. Nothing else is sitting on the coast. So I don't know how many units he has in the fog back there that I can't see, but it looks like I've killed the mainstay of his army pretty much. So maybe this game is not going on for that much longer, but I mean, he's building walls, so he can maybe try to defend. He has control of the sea, so it's not like I can move up quickly, although my cataphracts and Kushites are quite fast. If he keeps fortifying this, I'm probably looking into just moving through the bottom. But we'll have to see. Like, getting this, there's borders of course here, so it's easier, and urban tires, so it's this is the shorter route. Yeah, just a quick mopping up of the units up here, and I didn't keep counting. I think it was 2. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about 9 or 10 units that I killed from him. Those were all either pikemen or cataphract archers. So killed about double the good units of his. That's a pretty devastating turn for him. So that's about it for the battle here. See you probably next turn. Turn 98. And I'll try to keep this short. He decided he was gonna keep pushing in. Moved most of its units forward and attacked. Managed to kill another 4 units. These are all good units, not much cannon fodder left on my side. I guess moved almost everything up. These are probably the reinforcements. They are fatigued, so that he's been moving up, there's nothing left as reserves. So I'll just be counter-attacking. Got everything lined up again, and let's chew through those. Starting down here, using these 2 ballistas. There was one force march up here to go through there, and starting to route through everything that isn't a pikeman. These tribal mercenaries are not really any danger. Then 2 of his remaining cataphract archers. Let's get some of our heavy hitters in there. Kushites. And moving the remaining ballistas up against his infantry. Making use of the cleave damage or circle damage from the cataphracts there to get some extra points on these units. And a final shot. At this point I'm pretty much done. I have used most of our units, cleaned almost everything up. There's just this one mercenary left, his ships of course, and these pikemen that are slinger in the back. At this point he is very much weaker. So if we subtract these ships, he's probably much weaker at this point. So this might not go on for much longer, depending how he wants to play this. If he wants to try to turtle for a bit, he has quite a few forts. I think I'm now moving up some units, moving the units in the back up front, and assigning a general here, moving this cataphract up and attacking one of the ships here, doing some slight damage. I can't really kill one of those, just spreading out damage. He can kill like either the spearman or the ballista if he keeps two ships around, but at this point I can redirect my units to kill the ships if he stays around. I will be getting our crossbowmen. There's one slinger out and another two. I thought there was another slinger coming up. Maybe it's in the. Maybe that gets added to the production queue as the remaining turn plays out. I've played out everything, but the rest is basically just doing empire management and using my workers again. I don't think we need to go through all of that at this point. I have lots of orders to spare. I could also use these to rush out more units, but I don't really see the need. I have more than enough civics. I have money, civics and orders to spare to rush out reinforcements, but I'm just going into default mode and start using my workers again. Mainly getting iron and wood up, because this is what we need for our crossbowmen and cataphracts. Some strongholds for extra orders. Moving these workers up so we can build a road here if we need to in the upcoming turns. Some windmill to boost the marble. Signing production. And I think that was a rush. So I guess it was just two slingers, or I'm missing something. Anyway, we are getting at least two crossbowmen upgraded next turn, and can start producing them as well. And these crossbowmen can deal with his pikes on the offensive, since they will be fast enough to actually attack into his territory. But this does are kind of limited in this way. Like we can build a road up to here and maybe like do some attacks in here. But like moving deep into his territory is will always require force march with the ballista, so we're pretty much set up. And that continues this battle pretty much. So, see you later.
All right, so we're here on turn 99. I just lost a bunch of units. I am 4 years away from barding or so. I can potentially speed it up, but the problem is I don't really have any chariots that I can upgrade, so I'd have to hard build. And by then, he's going to be able to push in, I think, here and start taking cities. Since he's already stronger, I don't really see a way to win here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and surrender. Don't really see a way to win. So I'm going to go ahead and surrender, and then I'll be right back with analysis for this turn. And we're back post-surrender here. So I just didn't see a chance for victory, given that position, given where I was with tech. He did a good job with those ballista, really murdering a lot of my units. I did not have a way to kill them without having a melee horse unit to deal with. I probably shouldn't have attacked when I did, but I was worried he was going to attack me. I think this does go to prove that you can lose even if you attack first. I did do a good amount of damage. So let's take a look at graphs here. Military score. As you can see, I was actually ahead of him when I attacked, but I'm quite a ways behind him now. So on turn 96, I had an advantage, probably because I think I attacked somewhere around here, and then, yeah, so I think this might have been pikeman upgrade turn, and now I'm well below. Might have been able to fight it out, but I just don't see a way to stop what's coming here. He's definitely going to take this city, and yeah, I'm going to have some pikemen barding on the way, but like, I don't know, doesn't seem feasible. Territory owned, we were very close, explored, resource prices, iron became super expensive. Victory points, family opinions, kind of a mess. Growth, he's way ahead on growth. Civics, I'm way ahead. Training, about equal. Culture, I'm a little bit ahead, although he has that city well ahead of me. Discontent production. Science, I had a science lead for a bit. Don't remember what happened here at turn 90. So actually quite a bit of a science lead there, pretty much all game. And that does not include inquiries, I believe. Money, we're about even. I had a lead for game. Orders, very similar. Order income, slight Persia lead throughout, but I'm not sure what spiked him up to orders there in turn 98, but it's good. Way ahead on food. Iron, I'm way ahead. Stone, I'm way ahead. Wood, somewhat ahead. Stats, he's richer than I am. Population, pretty much even. Specialists, let's see if I can get this. I had 10 apprentice officers, 2 master officers, and 10 elders. He had 14 apprentice officers, 1 master officer, and 6 elders, so somewhat similar. I think he went poet scribe in his capital. I remember seeing my agent. Yeah, he's running citizen poet economy, which is getting him quite a lot of civics for that, plus 12. So other stats, workers, 29 versus 25, military units, very even. I produced primarily cataphract archers. He had a good spread. Those ballista really went a long way, and 5 cataphracts that I could not deal with. He killed 104. I lost 34 units. We cleared about the same number of camps, about the same laws, about the same techs. A very close game. Longest reign, about similar, slightly more courtiers, similar improvements, similar wonder count. So yeah, maybe, but did not see a way to win this. I felt like he was going to just be able to flood in here. I would have lost all these, or would have had to retreat, and even if I had retreated them, probably would have died. This city was definitely gone. And then I just didn't have enough. It's very hard to come back when once you lose a bunch of units, like this military curve here, I'm at 3580. So he's got about significantly larger army than me. So he's got 40% larger army at that point, and that's going to be very, very problematic to deal with. And I don't have anything to counter his ballista, and the thing I use to counter his cataphract is countered by his ballista. So yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for this game. We may or may not do a post-game discussion, leaning towards not. So just doesn't seem like there's that much to talk about, and I'm sure y'all have heard both of our perspectives. Seems like a pretty straightforward game. Actually, very quiet until we started tussling over here towards the end of the game. So kind of two single-player games against each other with a little bit of conflict at the end. The boat lake conflict was interesting to see. But yeah, so all right. Congrats again, Frederick. His record now improves to 0-7 wins against me, and I have never won against him. So congratulations to him on yet another win. And hope you all enjoyed and watching and learned something from it. And see you around.
Turn 99. And we have the conclusion of our game. Unsurprisingly, alcaras surrendered. Most of his army was gone. So he chose not to play this one out. Like, say, so small chance he can hold on this city inside forts, since I don't quite have good units yet against his pikemen, although I did finish crossbows, so I do have some units, but inside forts it's harder to kill these, and inside his territory, but I think at this point I could have broken through, since my land-based army is too big. I also, if he really choose to make a stand, I think the next line was going for Latin sail, not because of Dromons, but because of autarky. Autarky lets me build elephants everywhere, and with elephant, like if the crossbows would not have been enough, then the elephants could have pushed him out of any fortifications except the city, and at that point it would have been pretty much over. So I've watched alcaras conclusion already, so I won't be going over all the stats, although I will be pointing out a few things that I think are somewhat important. One of the things is money. alcaras kind of offhand said we are pretty the same, being like 100 over me for most of these turns here. That's about 30 turns, and then shooting up to like 300 to 400 for another 40 turns above me. It's kind of not being about the same. Like he's massively outproducing me in money, which is kind of unsurprising. Egypt oftentimes has money problems, and since I'm not going for tyranny on the law front, which was usually used in the past to fix Egypt's money problems, there's not that much we can do. We're kind of relying on our landowners' crops, but there's not that many on this map. There's these three, which were also kind of hard to get online, especially this. These were in the Cleric city, so no extra money. So there's not many crops to go around. There's one here which we didn't even bring online. This city kind of was our money maker, but he of course has this as well. So he has Statesmen, which is just fine for build all these specialists. So then there's another stat that is kind of interesting is orders. You're kind of pulling even here until about here, just when he's like here, when he starts to pull ahead, until I get my orator and then spike again. So this is around the point I am assuming he catches up in temples. So in the early game, this is his Statesmen and Persia bonus, holding pace with what I get from temples, and then eventually he keeps his Persia bonuses and gets temples as well online everywhere, so he pulls ahead then. So I mean, resources, it's like some difference, but overall it's pretty much the same, I think. Having more food, he has way more iron, more stone. He's wood temporarily up before he shoots up again. So overall he is up in resources too, which is kind of I was always feeling behind most game. Civics this is mostly his eloquent leader as well as statesman, and some bump is his colossals finishing, which is 2+ civic in every city. So yeah, kind of showcases that you can't always just, like, despite the big first strike bonus or first strike, the big power first strike has in old world, you cannot just attack and expect to win against someone that's decently positioned. Like in the previous videos I've already mentioned that I tried to run an attack against him here and couldn't quite kill enough units. I killed about in somewhere in the same ballpark that he did with his initial attack, but it's when the armies are as big as they were, killing just 6-7 units is not enough. Like alcaras moved about half his army in his initial assault, so if I kill a chunk of unit, it's not even cuts him down to a point where he can still use confidently or easily use all his orders up in military movement and attack, and my main force is now much closer, then he's going to obliterate me in the counterattack. So I was not quite obliterating him after he moved in, but I was doing about the same damage in the initial attack against his, but it's mainly because I had problems with his dealing with pikes. With just 3 pikes, I could deal with that with the ballista that I rushed out. So at that point, if you're just killing off a handful of units, like your attack is probably, like, if the armies are about the same in size and you're only killing a handful of units, then you're looking to be in trouble. So I think he should have won this game from a economic perspective. I think his main mistake was going for swordsman, or at least not committing to an attack with the swordsman. The problem with swordsmen and cohorts is that you can get there earlier than for something like cataphracts, but they lose badly to cataphracts, and they are only strength 8, and they are quite expensive, not as expensive as cataphracts, but still more expensive than the other strength 8 units. So you do have to, like, you either have to be up against a mainly infantry based army that they counter hard, or you need to make a timing attack with them. If you just sit on the cohorts, you're basically wasted 1500 research. It will then get obliterated by cataphracts once the other player catches up. He kind of went for it blindly almost. Don't know if that was trauma from the pikemen of our last game, but you can always see if someone goes for pikemen. Like, at least you can see mana because it unlocks conscripts. So oftentimes you can also see the law enacted, but conscripts are available in any city. They replace the standard militia, so while there's still militia in here available and no conscripts, I'm not going down this path. Like, land consolidation and composite bow are fine to pick up anyway. Rangers, groves and elephants are always good things to have, so no reason to take these tags as an indicator of someone going down this path. I think he could maybe have recovered. I'm not sure. I mean, I did have a hard time attacking into him, so if he went barding after cohorts, he might have gotten it before I could have launched an attack against him, or I could have used the pikes to fortify his front line and keep holding me off until he has cataphracts as well. I mean, it's always hindsight is always 20/20, so it's difficult to say. I always mention I mentioned the previous videos of taking this city to drop my cognomen would have hurt, although from what I can tell, it's no longer the case. I think they've took out negative cognomens, at least in competitive mode or in multiplayer. At least that's my, I don't have, it wasn't listed in any patch notes, but that's what I got from my other duels that I've been playing in the meantime, where I took cities of a new ruler and they didn't drop, or they didn't get a negative cognomen. Another thing he could have done was abdicate and switch over to his Orator. That could have strengthened his attack, getting the extra, like, it's about 15 cities, so that's another 30 orders. If we're assuming 4 orders per unit used, we're looking at about looking at about 7-8 more units in his initial attack. Could have been another 2 or 3 kills. That would have put his kill count above my, quite a bit above my counterattack, so it would have then, could have looked quite different. Also on the second turn he kind of kept his pikes down here where they were in range of my ballistas, and then clumped everything up here. Could have maybe interlaced some pikes in between here so I couldn't get as big a route chain, at least with the strongest cataphract. So I had to use multiple cataphracts, multiple route chains. Could not quite use the ballistas as well. Just a few things could have gone differently. I could have attacked earlier, or maybe not, I don't know. So like, he got way ahead in science based off the huge amount of inquiries he built, way more than I did. It's like basically all of this and half of these. But if you're the science or the actual text you pour that research into doesn't give you an advantage, you're not, that doesn't mean much. So, I mean, the pikes were good, but since he already upgraded most of his units, the pikes are good against my cavalry units, but since he upgraded most of his spearmen, or a big chunk of his spearmen, to cords already, he only had 3 to attack with. If those were maybe 8, 10, 12 pikemen in his initial attack, that would have been way different. I wouldn't be able to clear or clean all of these up with the amount of ballistas I rushed out, and there would have been a lot more dead horses, lot more dead Cataphracts and dead Kushites. So yes, still it was a fun game, fun exercise, even if this strategy with Egypt is no longer possible, no guaranteed doctrine anymore. So, but still the Orator with Clerics strategy will still be very strong, of course. Most powerful with Persia, since they can easily offset the order loss from the lost legitimacy with their bonuses. But any other Clerics faction can still use that, just not with that many tribal mercenaries, but grabbing like 2 or 3 and upgrading those will still be a big boon. I mean, we grabbed, I don't know how many we grabbed. Those are like 6 or 8 mercenaries. I think he grabbed even more with his basic barbarian mercenaries that he has. But just grabbing a few, using your training to upgrade those, and getting the Orator bonus from the Clerics and from your religion, still very, very powerful. Still a bit delicate in resource management in the early turns to get everything online and running, but if you can manage this correctly, spending all your resources in the right places, you can get very far ahead. Quite an interesting map. I agree with alcaras that the shape of the lakes was definitely strange but interesting. Also interesting that we only met here in the north. Plenty of surface area where the front could also have been. Also, these bigger lakes could have made quite a bit of a difference. So this kind of a teacup, no way you can hide or tuck back your ships. Like here, there's way more space in the back. Also more city sites closer to the lake. That was the conflict. Still, fun games. Always happy to play with alcaras. Always good games so far. So looking forward to more. So hopefully see you in another game.
Alcaras here with just wanted to thank Frederik for the game. We won't be doing a post-game discussion for this game. Definitely learned a lot, as I always do, playing against Frederik. I think the takeaway for me this game was late game tech choices and how to balance them. As Frederik mentioned, going cohorts and not pushing in didn't really make sense. Dromon's sort of had an opportunity there. Questionable whether I should have gone cohorts at all, given he didn't have pike and didn't have conscripts available, which meant he wasn't going down the line that leads to conscripts. I didn't really do enough agent scouting to be able to assure myself of that. So kind of, I think part of it might have just been pikeman trauma from what he did to me with pikeman last game. So that's on me. But yeah, great game. Really enjoyed it, and look forward to playing against Frederik again sometime. Take care.